Well, good evening, trustees and community. Just a great day today, March 7th, in the Ann Arbor Public Schools, and just so happy we've been able to have school and not get delayed by weather, and maybe spring is around the corner, yes? It was just wonderful on Monday to get to be with Vice President Basquette and I, who went over to Huron High School and met with officials from IB World Organization as they were out at the school for a very long day to do the, I believe it's called verification visit. So they were there, they interviewed teachers and students and had engagement with parents throughout the afternoon, all around looking at the IB career program. I appreciated last year that Trustee Manley and Trustee Basquette went with us to Virginia and Maryland, where we got to see this program in action. And so the team has been working on their application, and the evaluators wouldn't commit to when we would know, but they said sometime we'll know whether we're approved or not. So we're very optimistic and very excited. Well, it's the beginning of March, so we all know it's Dr. Seuss time of the year. So March is Reading Month, National Reading Month. Ann Arbor Public Schools across the district have been participating in lots of activities, as you can see here, in celebration of their focus on reading. This includes readathons, guest readers, teachers sharing their favorite children's book, and book bowl. Representative Adam Zemke was a guest reader just today at Carpenter Elementary. I will have the great pleasure of being out next week. I wish I could be out every day. This is just the best part, is to be able to read with children. March is also Youth Art Month, and I love these celebrations in Ann Arbor. We have Miss Bailey, our Fine and Performing Arts Director, with us this evening, and she helped me to just remember all the great stuff that's coming. So we love highlighting the value of arts education for all children. To celebrate Youth Art Month, the Ann Arbor Public Schools Art Department partners with the Main Street Area Association to bring art into downtown businesses. Just one of my favorite times of the year. You can stroll along Main Street and see our children's art in every window. So this event and a reception is planned for Sunday, March 18th. We will have several art teachers coming to our next board meeting on the 21st to share their work. And I know Ms. Osinski's been working on an art show that will actually be housed out here in the foyer, so you'll be able to enjoy that as well. The Cosmetology Program, one of our career and technical education programs, is open to 11th and 12th grade students. They recently have moved from the WISD over to a newer, larger location on Michigan Avenue. The most exciting part of this move is they will be able to get a lot more walk-in traffic to do all of their cosmetology services, which is a little bit tricky to do out at the WISD. So we're really excited about their move, and I know Mr. Cluley has this video up so you all can view it at your leisure. The larger venue will give them more space to learn cosmetology skills. The Huron Valley Beauty Academy is open to the public between 8 and 2, Wednesday through Friday. They offer a range of services at very reasonable prices. So we just invite everybody to get over there to Michigan Avenue and see what great things our students are doing. This past Saturday, I had the opportunity to attend a student-led die-in at Liberty Plaza in downtown Ann Arbor. Our students, this was completely student-organized and student-led. They organized the event as a call to action for student safety. It was such an honor to get to be there. I know Trustee Kelly was there with us also, and there may have been other trustees. The crowd was so large, it was hard to see everyone. But the students were working for school safety and in support of reasonable laws to support student and staff safety at school. I was so proud of our students for their peaceful and focused activity to call attention to the issue of gun violence in our country, and particularly gun violence in schools and classrooms. I just want to give a shout out to Sarah Lewis, to Clara, to Marquand, and to Liam from Skyline, and they were Pioneer and Skyline students who organized and gave just remarkable speeches. That group is also meeting with me this week, and trustees, we are visiting with them about doing a public student town hall meeting, and we're just trying to wrap all of this together and make sure that their voices are being heard loud and clear. So stay tuned, and we'll be getting more information out. At the close of the rally, they had arranged for many of Pioneer's choir students to be present, and they had plugged in a keyboard, and so the choir moved to the front of the plaza and sang hand in hand, we will make this a better world. And it was a moment, let me tell you. I found it particularly poetic that it was on a night in 2015, just at this same time of year, when the Pioneer Choir bore witness to a very unsettling event that kind of launched all of our work in this student safety effort. So you find great poetry at moments like that, and it was just a great afternoon, and we had great weather for which we were all very grateful. A recent University of Michigan study found the peer-to-peer program that we have in all 5 of our high schools, we're very proud of it, is leading students to an increased understanding of depression, and has changed students' attitudes about seeking help for themselves and for others. Other findings in the paper that U of M just published, and it was published by the Journal of Psychiatric Services, show that after student-led depression awareness campaigns in their schools, students were much more likely to say that they understood that they understand that depression runs in families and cannot be controlled through willpower. They would feel less embarrassment about being seen, going to the school, social worker, or psychologist's office. They are comfortable discussing mental health with other students at school. And following the success of the program at Ann Arbor Public Schools and other area schools, the peer-to-peer program is now available online for any school to use. So we're really excited that Ann Arbor Public Schools has had an opportunity to lead on this issue. And as we all know, it is a pressing and urgent issue in our community and in communities across the country. Well, trustees, we have done week over week updates on student safety. We placed in your folders this evening, I'm not going to say it's comprehensive, but it is the full report on our update on student safety. Mr. Cluley is bringing that up. We posted it online. I want to reassure our parents and our community that all of this is coming to your inbox. Now, it will actually be linked so that you won't get a big fat long document like the trustees just received. You will be able to link in to the parts that attract you and where you want to get your information. Will just be one click in. So trustees, your packet looks like this. I really think all I'll do this evening is just highlight the areas that have been added since our last update, which was just a week ago. Just want to remind our community that our deepest commitment and determination are absolute. In the Ann Arbor Public Schools, we will do everything in our power to maintain welcoming, safe, nurturing, and comfortable learning environments for our children. The safety and well-being of our children, staff, and parents will remain the focus and the priority of our policies, our regulations, our daily practice in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. By that, we're clear that the presence of guns in schools other than by sworn safety officers runs contrary to everything we hold dear about education, teaching, and learning. And we believe it is counterproductive to maintaining a rich, productive, and healthy learning environment for our children. So we have just published today online. We'll be sharing with every person on our mailing list, that's about 20,000 folks, this full update with links embedded in these areas. So let me just review the areas. Student safety is our top priority in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Secondly, our context of the Ann Arbor Public Schools district leadership on school safety in schools that can actually link directly to the AAPS policies on student and school safety if they would like to from this. Safety practices in the schools. We've gotten lots of emails and questions about particular practices, so we can link right into that explanation. Social emotional supports for students and staff and supports for individuals who struggle. There's a section on that. We also have linked in to the caution that was published yesterday. Trustees, I sent it to you and you have a copy in your folder from Sheriff Clayton. The caution regarding false reporting and threats. We wanted to make sure that our community was aware of that information. Then we have a section on First Amendment rights, protests, and activism. Specific supports for students on March 14th, the National Student Walkout for school safety. Support for student activism and our specific plans at elementary and secondary. And then finally, the report closes with a call to action for our Ann Arbor community. So trustees, the sections that have been clarified since we last spoke are more specifically about our plans for March 14th. So I want to just touch on those. They're on page 7 if you're following along, but no need to feel like you have to. It will be up here as well. We know that our students want to speak out, and we respect and honor and support the First Amendment rights of students, and we understand the desire that many students have right now to raise their voices and express their thoughts regarding school safety concerns across our nation. So we fully support students sharing those thoughts, and we're proud of the actions of our students to draw attention to the issue of student safety in schools, and we applaud their maturity and the insight with which they have responsibly raised their voices on a most critical issue that defines our time. Student voices are clearly key and critical in bringing attention to this important issue of improving student safety at school. This is a teachable moment for our country, and we support our students in leading the way forward. So let's talk a little bit about March 14th. On March 14th, the Ann Arbor Public Schools will be proud to support students in exercising their First Amendment rights regarding the National Walkout event. Support will be provided for all students, whether they choose to walk out or whether they choose not to participate. And the walkout, as we are understanding from our student leaders, will occur for 17 minutes around the time of 10 a.m. We have elected to provide this support in developmentally appropriate ways at each level, elementary, middle, and high school. And we ask that students, parents, and staff specifically watch for communication from their school and their neighborhood principal to help them understand exactly what the plan is for March 14th, next Wednesday, 1 week from today. All students will be required to be respectful and to follow the student rights and responsibilities in order to participate. And we invite parents who wish for their students to leave school to make arrangements in advance of this day and in advance of this event, much like you would if you were asking for your student to be dismissed for any other reason, an appointment or another reason. We ask that we work together with student leaders to be well prepared. And part of that is that we're extending to our parents the invitation to have the conversation with your children at home in advance of the day. We feel like it's really important for students to understand and be able to articulate their why of any event and protest like this. And we are asking that both educators and parents have that teachable moment and make sure we're all clear in advance of how we'll work through this day. The national campaigns have designated 13 years and above as the age for the walkout activity, and this is in keeping with the approach that we will use. We actually will do a developmentally appropriate activity at elementary, and then at secondary, we will support the student walkout. As is developmentally appropriate, our elementary teaching teams and principals have worked, and they will be participating in school-specific events, classroom events that celebrate and deepen our core values of caring, welcome, respect for all, kindness, and acceptance. If parents of elementary students desire to have their children march, we ask that they come to school and check their child out of school to go participate in that. We will not be facilitating those activities at the elementary level. For secondary, middle, and high schools, we recognize that our students are actively engaged citizens. I was delighted last Saturday when Liam Keating from Skyline High School indicated that he had registered to vote, and he planned to spend every election day from here on inside a voting booth for at least part of the day. And that delights all of us, doesn't it? To raise a generation of engaged citizens. So we have been made aware that there is widespread student support for a student walkout that will occur around 10 a.m. on March 14th. Student leaders are indicating that the messaging related to this event centers on a call to action on matters of student safety in school. We will respect the rights of all students, whether they choose to participate or not. No student will be required to participate in any student-led walkout. Thus, we are working with our student leaders and coordinating procedures to assure that our students are safe at all times on campus, whether they be outside or whether they're not participating that way. We will ensure a structured environment on our campuses for all students so that they are sure to remain safe. The role of our administrators and our teams, staff during this time will be to help keep our students safe and to support them in exercising their First Amendment rights. Thus, we're coordinating supervision and procedures to ensure an orderly exit out of the building, a designated gathering location, and an orderly return to the building. We have been confirmed today, trustees from the Ann Arbor Police Department, that they will also provide support at each of our high school locations to ensure that we have support for student safety. We encourage all parents and guardians, as I said before, to speak with their student about the messaging related to the anticipated student walkout, including the ways in which students can constructively and safely express their viewpoints. We are aware also, trustees, and you've heard about it, of a potential rally taking place in Ypsilanti during this time. I have heard just in the last 24 hours that that may not be occurring, but I just want to address again that students will only be excused from our campuses with parental prior permission in advance of the event. Our work with student leaders is focused on the activities on our campuses. We feel like that's a great place and a great opportunity for them to exercise their First Amendment rights right in their own group, right at their own high school campus. With advisement from the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department, we are discouraging students from leaving their home campus and gathering at any off-campus locations. In addressing our preschool and K-8 campuses, I encourage our parents to just work closely with their principals and hear more about what may be going on at those particular campuses. I know that the K-8s are really working on developmentally appropriate activities for middle level children and for smaller children. And I know that preschool is really working on some kindness and really beautiful activities that will go on over there. So we know, trustees, it's one of the things that you commit to when you raise your right hand and take an oath, and it's one of the things we are all committed to morally, and that is ensuring that our 18,140 students are safe to learn and grow in our district's classrooms is a commitment we must make, a promise we must keep. So together we have the capacity to get through this challenging time. I want to say how proud I am of teachers and principals because they've already been working to refine their plans and to ensure that all are well prepared for whatever may come, and that we keep student safety as our very top priority. Now, along this same line, trustees, I was hoping that Mr. Comsa could come and just give you, just as a part of my briefing, just a little bit of information about our April date. Trustees, you've been advised that we have an April either 11th or 12th date at the Michigan Supreme Court. And so Mr. Comsa is here to share more.
Thank you, Dr. Swift. You know the history of the case. But we recently received an order from the Michigan Supreme Court requesting that the parties submit supplemental briefs on 3 issues and condense down their focusing on the preemption issue, whether or not the Board of Education's policies are preempted by state law and case law, the Llewellyn case, which dealt with a city ordinance which is preempted by a Michigan state statute on obscenity. All that being said, there's about 1,000 applications to the Michigan Supreme Court for leave, asking the court to hear your case. They grant about 100. So what the court is now asking us to do, both parties, is to argue those 3 points before them on either April 11th or April 12th. And we will know what day and what time on March 9th, and I'll of course let all of you know when we have a specific time and date. So they are asking us to argue those 3 items before they decide whether they're going to grant leave to appeal. So the justices have been talking, and they've focused down on these three points. And after they hear our case, they can do a number of things, or after they hear the arguments, they can let the lower court, the Court of Appeals decision stand. They could reverse it. They could grant leave. They could not grant leave. But it'll be a crucial and critical day on either the 11th or the 12th when the court hears arguments on those 3 points.
Can you repeat the 3 points again, Dave? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Whether in light of a Michigan statute, it is necessary to consider the factors set forth in the People versus Llewellyn in order to determine whether the school district's policies are preempted. So that statute, MCL 123.1102, is the preemption statute that we argued in the Michigan Court of Appeals that defines a local unit of government, and a school board is not listed.
Okay.
The other one is, if so, whether the Court of Appeals properly analyzed the Llewellyn case. The Llewellyn case was a case out of the city of East Detroit where there was an ordinance involving what is obscene, what is an obscene business, and the Llewellyn case decided whether, or held whether or not the state statutory scheme on the definition of obscenity preempted the city of East Detroit's ordinance on obscenity. That's the second point. And the third is whether the Court of Appeals correctly held that the school district's policies are not preempted. You remember Judge Kunke and the Michigan Court of Appeals panel unanimously held that our policies were not preempted. So, that's a brief summary of a more detailed arguments. There'll be, like I say, and so the appellants, the losing parties, they filed their brief. We filed our supplemental brief in answer to their position. We've also had some amicus briefs filed on behalf of the school district, MASB. I'm led to understand that the Brady Group out of New York will be filing a brief. So the court has granted all the motions for people that wanted to file amicus. So there's a lot of interest across the country, essentially, on this case, and they're allowing all these amicus briefs to be filed. And, Dr. Swift is named individually, so she'll be forever in the history of Michigan jurisprudence, regardless of which way the case goes.
And then I believe the city also filed an amicus brief recently.
Yep. I don't know that they filed it yet, but
they passed.
City Council directed Mr. Postema to file a brief in support of us, and they are clearly going to do that.
So with that, I just wanted to take a moment, trustees, to thank you for all of your support, and Mr. Comsa and Mr. Blaha, who've been on this case since that night in March of 2015, and I want to thank the board for your leadership, and they've done extraordinary work, and the work speaks for itself, and I can't think, nor I don't believe can you, of a better cause than keeping our children safe. It is our most sacred obligation, and it comes even before teaching and learning, and I just appreciate all of your support. We have received so many emails over the last 3 weeks since the Parkland shooting. We can't possibly respond to them all, but I just want to say to the community, we understand the concern, and everyone will receive this message in their box tomorrow. I believe that it answers every question, trustees, that I've received in an email. So I believe it answers everyone except for maybe one or two that just didn't need to be in this part. So at any rate, I feel like this brings us to a chapter in this, and I'm excited to see what our students will do, and trustees will be working with you to see if you might want to help me with hosting a town hall, or attend, or let the kids just tell us when it's going to be and where. We can just go that route, but we're very proud of our students and the work that they're doing. So thank you so much. It's my pleasure to offer this update this evening. Thank you.